Hi, so today I'm going to answer a subscriber question that was asked on my last video, which was about boundaries and how to uphold your boundaries when you feel like they're being crossed, and how to get over this feeling of not being worthy of good things, and how to know if somebody is manipulating you and what to do about it. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Carly. I am a life coach. I help spiritual women who are very ambitious get really, really deep into their self-worth and really deep into their boundaries and high standards and self-discipline so that they can show up and live the lives that they want without doing the whole hustle bro thing and still make things happen for themselves. So, this question, and I did write it down. There goes my bookmark, but whatever, we'll make it work. Okay. So boundaries. Okay, sorry, I don't have my glasses on because there's a glare and it's unsightly. So I'm being dramatic, but so people violating your boundaries, like especially close people. So when somebody close to you is violating your boundaries, that's not actually happening. What's happening is you're violating your own boundaries because you don't have solid boundaries. Other people cannot violate your boundaries. Just that's how that works. So boundaries are not fences. They're not things that other people do to you. They're things that you do to yourself because you're not clear. Okay. So we have to, like, when we're setting boundaries, we don't set them with other people. It's not a conversation we have with people. It's not something that we need to tell people. It's an energy that we embody, and it's something that we are or we aren't. If you have boundaries, you know it because nobody fucks with you, and you don't let people fuck with you. And if they do, you get the fuck out of that situation and you disappear. It's not about them disappearing or them changing their ways. It's about you taking something that they had access to that they no longer have access to because that's not something you put up with. Does that make sense? So if somebody is violating your boundary, that's because you don't have a solid boundary within yourself. A boundary is not a fence, it's a preference. Okay, so when I was first learning about boundaries, I was learning what I liked and what I didn't like, what I valued, what I don't value, what I want and what I don't want. Those are how you discover your boundaries. And boundaries also come from anger. Anger is a really, really important emotion for boundaries because anger is what tells you when your boundaries have been crossed, and they tell you about your natural boundaries. These aren't something that you invent for yourself. They're a natural part of your being. So you need to have access to your anger to have access to your boundaries. So what makes you angry? What pisses you off? Okay, so this is something that you can journal about in your journal. You can write it below in the comments if you want. What pisses you off and what makes you angry? It could be something that's done to other people, and usually our boundaries are also found in like what makes us angry out in the world. So if like mistreatment of other people, like children for example, pisses you off, that's a boundary that you have, and that's actually a boundary that you have with yourself because that's you and how you want to treat your inner child and how you actually want to be treated. So how do you actually want to be treated? What is that anger telling you about what you need? Not about what the world needs and not about what other people need. What do you need when you're angry? What boundary is being violated when you are angry? Which one of your preferences is being disrespected when you're angry? What made you angry? So anger is about fear. When we're angry, anger is a cover emotion for fear. So anger is always going to say, you hurt me or you're going to hurt me. Fuck off, fuck no. You know, anger is a defense mechanism. It's that warrior spirit within us that says, no, I'm not going to put up with that. No, you don't get to do that to me. No, you don't get to hurt me. So anger is really important for boundaries. Get really in touch with your anger and ask yourself, what makes me angry? And what does that tell me about what my preferences are? How would I prefer to be treated in this situation? What would I prefer to happen here? And I go deeper into how to know what your values are, etc. in my free self-discipline masterclass. Please look at that below. Self-discipline is about emotional mastery, and emotional mastery is the foundation of everything. If you master your emotions, you are able to just soar through life. You're so clear, you're so confident, you're so centered that you can be self-disciplined, and you're not forcing yourself, you're not hustling, you're not showing up every day like, I gotta do everything and I gotta get it right and I gotta get it perfect and I've gotta hustle. You don't have to get motivation. It's not about motivation. Self-discipline is about just the natural experience of you knowing what your heart wants and what your heart needs and going for it. And that's a boundary that you have with yourself. So self-discipline is a boundary that you get to have with yourself that says, I'm going to treat myself well by showing up for what I need and what I want the most. Okay, kind of went on a big rant there, and that'll be linked below. So look at that masterclass. It's really, really good. It's about an hour long. So take notes, get a drink, prepare. Okay, so boundaries or preferences. So that's about what you like, what you dislike. So me saying I prefer to be treated well in my relationships is a boundary. That's a preference. There are people in the world who don't care about how well they're treated in their relationships. Okay? And that's a preference for them. It might be an unconscious preference, but it's a preference. So you have to get really conscious and aware of what are my preferences and how do I prefer to be treated. So nobody can cross your boundaries. Nobody is crossing your boundaries. Only you don't have boundaries. Boundaries are about you. They're not about anybody else. Nobody gives you boundaries. Nobody violates your boundaries. Nobody crosses your boundaries. It's 100% about you and whether or not you are standing up for yourself. Are you communicating, hey, don't talk to me like that? Hey, don't treat me like that? Are you walking away when you need to walk away? And that includes family members. I don't put up with certain treatment from family members. There are people I don't talk to because of the way that they've treated me. They're gone from my life. If they want to come back, they can apologize, So your boundaries and your standards are about you and how you treat yourself when somebody else disrespects you. How do you treat yourself when somebody disrespects you? Do you stay? Do you stay there and do you put up with it? That's not healthy. Do you want to do that? So if you're staying in that situation, ask yourself why you want to stay in that situation. What is it that you're getting out of it? And what would you prefer? Because that's where your boundary is. What do you prefer? And that will tell, that anger will tell you what you prefer. So look into that. Why do we accept less than we deserve or want? And why do we perceive ourselves to be less than? Okay, so this is not something that I've ever really struggled with. I've never really struggled with perceiving myself as less than. I've always seen other people as the wrong ones. And so I've always been told that I should expect less, that I should be less, that I'm too much, and that I'm I need to tone it down, that I have an attitude problem. And I've always said, no, fuck you. Anger and boundaries, I've always been really good with. So I've never been the person who's I feel like I deserve less, or I feel like I don't, or I don't want to treat myself well. I've always been the person who's no, fuck you. I deserve this. I want this. I'm going to have this, whether or not you like it. And if you don't want to give it to me, then I'll get it from somebody else. So what I noticed in people who have that feeling of not being good enough and not deserving good things is actually this people-pleasing tendency that says, I need to be a good person, so I'm going to make myself smaller to please you, to make you happy. That doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. It's the manipulative. So when I run into people who are like that, I feel manipulated by them and I don't trust them. I actually don't fuck with people like that. I don't fuck with people who are in that people-pleasing mode because they get resentful so fast and so easily that I know that I don't want any part of that. So I don't really associate with people who do the whole people-pleasing thing, who are I want to be a good person. I want to, please everybody. And they're always smiling at you. They're always giving you the big grin that's you're just oh, so forced. Sometimes it's okay to be a little scowly, a little bitchy. People who are kind of scowly and kind of bitchy, you can trust them because they're not fake with you, right? So, if that's you, if you're in that people-pleasing mode, as soon as you can get the fuck out, you need to get mad. You need to have access to your anger, because anger is where you get those boundaries from. And people who are in that I'm a good person, people-pleasing mode, and I don't deserve good things, you don't have access to your anger. You do deserve good things. and you need to get mad about it. You need to go back to whoever was the first person that let you feel that you didn't deserve good things, and you need to go mentally go into an inner child process and punch them in the fucking face for your inner child. Steamroll them. I like to go I use the completion process by Teal Swan. I like to go in, and for my revenge on the people, I like to steamroll them. I like to watch their guts spill out with the steamroller. And I know that sounds gross, but it's fucking fun. It's fun to imagine people who hurt me like just splat on the side of the road because I steamrolled them. Okay? So you need to access it. And if that made you uncomfortable, if what I just said made you uncomfortable, it's because you have no access to your anger and you're like, oh, that sounds so evil, or whatever. You need to get mad. And I'm saying this is life or death for you. You need to get mad, because if you don't get mad, if you don't have access to your anger, you're going to let anybody walk into your life, walk all over you, mistreat you, hurt you, and you're going to be like, oh, I guess I deserve it. And then you're going to secretly resent them because you didn't have the boundaries. You didn't have the guts to say, fuck you, get out. Okay. I'm really impassioned about that because like I watch people all the time just let people walk all over them, and I'm like, what are you doing? Stop. You need to get mad. Anger is sacred, okay? So this is a video about anger, I guess. Next question. How not to be manipulated by people who don't have your best interests. Such a good question. So I never go into any interaction assuming somebody has evil intentions. I know who I am and I know what my boundaries are. That's the only protection I need. That's the only psychic protection you need. You need to know who you are, what you're going to put up with, what you're not going to put up with, and you don't need to care about whether or not you're being manipulated. One, because you can tell if somebody's manipulating you, and two, if you have good boundaries, you're not going to be manipulated because you're not going to do something you don't want to do. So if somebody is manipulating you and into doing something that you already are fine with doing, who gives a fuck? Who cares? You know, but if somebody is manipulating you into doing something you don't want to do, that's a boundary issue, and go back to your anger. So this isn't something I put up with either. I notice when people are manipulative. Like I said earlier, I can tell. It's like a stink that comes off people. I can just smell it. When somebody's manipulative, I'm just going to tell them no. You know, like, no, I don't want to do something I don't want to do. And if I do want to do it, look at how hard you had to work. Look at how much work you had to put in to manipulate me into doing something I already wanted to do. That's their L. That's not mine. Okay? So don't go into any interaction assuming the worst in people. Assume the best. And know your boundaries, know your standards, know who you are and what you want. Okay? Watch my free masterclass on the YouTube. Well, it's through email. You have to get it through email. You have to sign up to my email. I don't spam anybody. I haven't even sent an email out yet. I just started, but I hope that makes sense. Don't assume the worst in people. By assuming the worst in people, you put up these defenses that you're like, and you start to act like kind of narcissistic. You start to assume that everybody's out to get you when nobody's out to get you. People are out to get themselves. People shoot themselves in the foot all the time. Okay? So when somebody feels the need to manipulate you, that's their problem, not yours. It doesn't have anything to do with you. Because you have solid boundaries, you're going to do whatever you want to do, and you're not going to do things you don't want to do. So don't even start to worry about, are they manipulating me? Are they not? Who cares? Just do things you want to do. Do I want to do this? Constantly check in with yourself. Do I want to do this? Do I like this person? Is this something that I'm okay with? I do this even though I have really solid boundaries. I'm still always checking in with myself. Am I okay with this? Is this something that I'm cool with? And if not, then I say no. Okay. Any more questions, please leave them in the comments. I love answering your questions, and they might be made into a video. So, mwah, love you. Bye.